Let's go over your provided wrap tools and how and when to use each one. So this is the preliminary video to get you equipped with the right knowledge before you move on to the practice kit in the next module. So let's go ahead and start with the squeegees. So you're going to have 2 squeegees, and you're actually going to have 12 what we call buffers. And this is a microfiber buffer. And the reason why we give 12 is sometimes it can get dirty. And when it gets dirty, that's when you can actually damage the vinyl. So what you want to make sure is you have a clean one whenever you're applying it. This is what it'll look like once installed. And you can see that this buffer goes all the way to the edges. And that's really important because if that's not covered, this plastic could potentially also damage the vinyl. So let me just show you how to install this. So in your kit, it's going to be black, but in this one, we have a red one for demonstration purposes. There's a longer side right here, and there's a shorter side. The buffer is going to go on the shorter side, okay? You're going to put the buffer right where this line is, and this is going to be the halfway point, and you want to make sure that on both left and right, it's even as well. So that looks pretty good, and once you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and peel it. So let's go ahead, it's just an adhesive. And go ahead and we're gonna, I usually put it on the table, but for demo purposes. Great, so now that's pretty even, and you wanna make sure you just push this down. You're gonna go ahead and go over first, and make sure this is still even. And go all the way around, and then after that this will go right to the edge, and you're going to go ahead and just make sure it is covering all the corners, and you can see now you have full coverage. So when do you do this? Before you do any panels, do a quick inspection. You have 12. I mean, 12 is more than enough. But typically, for example, for the Cybertruck, there's 13. You could probably replace it every 2-3 panels. One really pro tip that I would mention, do not put this in your pocket. A lot of times your pocket has a lot of lint or other things that are kind of dirty. We do provide a wrap toolkit belt, so this is exactly where I would put it, and then just put it in the front. So you're not putting it anywhere that it shouldn't be. So now that we have our squeegees ready, we're going to show you how to hold your squeegee. So this is a 4-inch squeegee, and the right way to hold it is you're going to use your 4 fingers like this, and you're going to use your thumb. When you're doing it, a lot of times you're going to be doing the push method. And the reason why you do the push method is, let's say you're pulling across this hood, right, like this. When you do this, you don't actually get to see how the squeegee reacts to the vinyl. So when you do that, you might actually have a wrinkle right here and not even know it, and then it's too late. So instead, if you push like this on an angle, you can actually see exactly what you're doing. A lot of the times we're going to go from top to bottom. So when you do that, you're going to go here, and then you're going to just move around like so. A lot of times too, we're going to start from the middle, and we're going to try to push all the airs out this way. But you're going to go in about a 45-degree angle. So sometimes you could do, if this is how you're squeezing, you could do a 90-degree. And just go straight, but you can only do that when you're about, I would say, 45 inches towards the end of the piece, because once you get to the end of the piece, you're going to be able to do that. However, when you're a lot more in the middle part of it, I would not do a 90-degree. Instead, I would do about a 45-degree like so, and then you're going to go in an angle and go in a straight line like this. So if I do it with my left hand so you can see a little bit better, 45-degree, and we're going to do like this. This is what we call like a 2-inch, or sometimes they do like a 1-inch, which is a lesser degree. So when you start having more wrinkles, and we're going to show you in a little bit, when you have a little bit more wrinkles, you decrease that and make it a little bit smaller, and then go in, and that will make sure that you're not going to get those wrinkles. So this is just to kind of demonstrate. So once we put it here, you can go ahead and do the 45-degree angle. You're going to squeegee, and then just to show you a little bit better, I'm going to switch hands and then go like that. And once you have those 4 fingers across the squeegee itself, it keeps it stable, and that way you're not bending it, or maybe you're uneven and then you see that part is not really touching the surface of the vehicle. So you want to make sure you have it here, go here, and kind of work your way all the way to the bottom. So now that we've kind of went through the squeegee, we're going to go a little bit more about wrap gloves. And what I'm actually doing is I'm creating a little bubble right here. Wrap gloves are going to be used in really two main ways in this course. The first is when you get to a body line. A lot of times we use our thumb, and in the course we're going to go ahead and just push it down into that body line. The other way is going to be getting rid of bubbles. So typically if you have, let's say, this big bubble, we might need to lift it up and then get it with a squeegee. But if you have a small bubble like here, you can see, what you can do is kind of massage it with your thumb until it goes away. And when you use heat gun like this, you'll see some of the bubbles come up. You can actually just use your thumb and then just push it down like so. So that's how you're going to be pushing down the bubbles. The other way you're going to be using it is going to be the edges. So when you have the edge like this, the first thing you're going to be doing is using your index finger or your thumb, and you're going to be using the hard edge like that. And then the next thing is we're going to go inside the edge to make sure that it's adhering. And then this glove allows you to glide a lot better with the vinyl without damaging it either. And then once you get that, obviously this is going to be cut right to size, but you can actually go fold over towards the back part of the edge as well. So the wrap glove is really, really useful. But one thing to keep in mind is when you are dealing with, I guess, peeling, try not to hold it because this still does have some level. I mean, it can hold some dirt. So when you do that, I think there's a higher chance you might have some contamination. So just go ahead and take it off, put it in your little pouch, and then you can use your fingers when you're holding it to touch the material. We can go ahead and go into the wrap sticks. There are 3 that's really included. And there is this degree angle tool, which allows you to kind of get in the back part. But this is kind of part of it too. But the wrap sticks are very, very useful. We provide 2. You might not use all of them, but they're also magnetic, so you can actually put it on the car itself and it'll stick. But this one is a lighter one. This is what I typically use first. But if you need a little bit tougher and harder, you can use that. So in the context of the Cybertruck, when you look at the hood and it goes on, above that headlight, there's going to be some areas right there. It's going to be hard to access. This wrap stick is going to be perfect. You could essentially go in between the light and then make sure that it's sticking right into that edge. This one is probably one of my favorite. Let's just say we want to wrap it around all this. You can use this tool and go behind it and just make sure that it hugs the inner edge as well. With all these tools, don't be over forceful, because if you do, this is what happens and you can rip the vinyl. So just make sure you be a little bit soft with it and don't cut the vinyl, right? So just don't really like stab. You're just more so kind of using it to MacGyver the vinyl to the top edge, or trying to adhere to the edge of the panels, okay? So now that we're talking about the wrap sticks, you are going to get 1 pick tool. So this is going to be very lightly used. What will happen in the edges sometimes is it might fold over like this. You could use your fingers, but you could also use a pick tool and kind of get under it from where it's not sticking. And then you could just kind of, like a dentist, I guess, kind of use the tool. And then once you have a grip, maybe, you can go ahead and pull, and then there you go. Now it's completely released. So now we're going to get to one of the best tools and most important tools in vinyl wrapping, and it is a heat gun. So general rule for this, ours will come with some sort of protectant, but this is still hot, so please be careful. We typically use heavy airflow and then max heat setting. So you can just kind of roll this all the way to the plus sign, which makes it the hottest. And when you do it, you definitely want to keep it moving, and you'll see the vinyl react. You don't need a whole lot of heat, so just make sure you keep it moving. And for the distance, you're going to be doing about 4 to 6 inches. So, and the other thing is try to keep it as evenly as possible. You don't want to go like this. You really want to go from straight line left to right if you have to heat. So now, when would you use the heat gun? For example, the Cybertruck kit, there's not a whole lot of stretching, so it's a little bit different. You're going to be using heat for the edges. So before you really fold over the edges, what you're going to be doing is heating it. and then you're going to be folding over the edges. So you're going to be doing something called post heat, which means that you're going to check all the panels first. And if it isn't, if you need to squeeze it a little harder, it'll kind of bubble up, and then you could use your grab glove or your squeegee to kind of bring it down. And then you can post heat the edges, and then you fold it over. Okay, that's very important. That kind of makes it more permanent and makes it really stick and adhere even more aggressively. But it'll also make sure that if there was any stretch, it kind of reverts back to what it was. So to reset the vinyl, while I was working, I kind of got it messed up. So that's kind of good. And you can see that there's a lot of, I guess, damage and a lot of wrinkles right here. So if this were to happen, it's okay. This is a very pliable material, and all you have to do is use a heat gun. And once you do that, it reverts it back to normal. Now that we went over all the tools in the vinyl toolkit, we're gonna go ahead and go into mixing the prep. But we do go over a lot of this in the practice kit, so make sure to watch that module, and you could practice some of this in that section as well. Let's go ahead and mix the prep bottle. This is a 1000 ml bottle, and what we typically recommend is using an 80-20 mix. And 80 being the distilled water or ultra filtered water, and then 20% being the alcohol. Okay, so all you have to do is, there's actually a measurement over here, so go ahead. And then we got some alcohol. Sweet. So now we have 800 ml of water and then 200 ml of the alcohol. So once you get to that, this doesn't have to be absolutely correct, but this will allow you to kind of prep the edges and also prep the panel before you actually lay the vinyl on, right? So all you have to do is just one swoosh, up and down just twice, and then this is ready to go. Now that you have this mix, gather your tools and practice kit, and I'll meet you at your Tesla so we can get some hands-on experience.